All right, so for those of you guys that have been around for a while, you might remember that last year I spent the good majority of my year dealing with this real estate project on one of my rental properties that I used the American Express Business Gold to put a lot of the expenses on in order to get a sign-up bonus. Now, years before that, I already had the regular personal gold because, of course, as a normal person, I like to dine out sometimes and buy groceries. And so now I'm at a point where I'm considering maybe either canceling one of the cards or keeping them in tandem and maximizing the benefits from each. So today I want to break down when it might make sense for you to get one or the other, and if it makes sense at all to have both at the same time. Now, before we jump into the comparison, why would we even want to compare the regular personal gold with the business gold? And personally, I think that's because a lot of people, or the majority of people out there, have something going on outside of their W-2 job. Whether that's freelance work that you're doing, whether you're selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, or even just doing photography for real estate or just your own personal stuff and charging for it, that you could classify as business expenses. There's a full list of things that when you apply for a business credit card, especially through AMEX, that it makes it pretty clear whether you're a target customer or not, or whether you're eligible. So just at a glance, the business gold and the personal gold are very similar in terms of not only their look, but also the benefits that they offer. And each of them also have a couple of benefits that offer credits in terms of things you can maximize throughout the year to offset the annual fee. I would say the number one differentiator between the two cards is going to be the earn structure, that being the 4x on dining and groceries for the personal card, that being basically personal expenses, and the 4x that you get on your top two business expenses for the business gold. So the way I like to think about it is the regular gold, the personal gold, is used for life expenses, and then the business gold is used for business expenses. That should be fairly obvious, but doing this comparison, I feel like a lot of people think that you can use both of them for personal expenses or something, but that is not the purpose of having a business credit card. With that alone, I would say it's easy to stack the two cards in terms of the type of expenses that you have, especially if you have a lot of legitimate business expenses that you can rack onto the business gold, so then you're earning pretty good point structure on both at 4x. Now, to get a little bit more specific, if we look here at American Express's website, we'll see that for the regular gold card, or the personal gold card rather, not the regular, it's $325. Okay, so we already talked about that. In terms of the earn structure, it's again 4x on restaurants and groceries. This is capped at $50K for restaurants, then $25K for groceries. And the similarity that you get is the 3x on flights booked with AMEX Travel. That's also the same that you get with the business card as well. Now, in terms of doing some annual fee math, if we're doing strictly, is this card worth it based on what you can use in credits for the annual fee, I would say the personal gold definitely wins in this regard. So we'll see that there's 120 bucks in Uber Cash. I really don't like the fact that they break up some of these, rewards, but that's the only way they're gonna make money. And so you get 10 bucks per month if you use either Uber Eats or just take an Uber. That definitely counts. And they stack, so if you have like a Delta Sky Miles Rewards card or the Reserve, or if you have an Amex Platinum, they're going to stack your Uber credits if you attach all your cards to the same account. So that's a plus. So you could have like 35 bucks per month to spend on Ubers, which is much more usable than just $10 on Ubers if you're never going to take an Uber or buy something from Uber Eats anyway. That's probably like one crouton from Olive Garden or something. Not Olive Garden. Nobody buys croutons from Olive Garden. Anyway, so 120 bucks for Uber Cash. Then you've got 84 bucks for Dunkin'. I don't drink coffee, so that's kind of a bust for me. 100 bucks on Resi. This is fairly straightforward because you get 50 bucks for each half of the year. So again, relatively easy to use, but honestly speaking, I think I've forgotten to use it in the first half of the year. Frankly speaking, now the $120 dining credit, this one, as you guys know, when they took off Shake Shack, it was a disappointment for everybody, including myself. But now what I like to do is go to Five Guys instead, because that's one of the places that I would go in terms of their list of the dining credits. I'm not gonna get too specific into any of these credits or benefits because this is not like a breakdown of the benefits, just strictly comparing. So let's just say that you forget to use a month or two, you're still getting pretty much over $400 in credits if you use the majority of them in a given calendar year. And your annual fee, keep in mind, is only $325. So strictly, again, from an annual fee math basis, which I try not to do for myself when I consider whether or not a cards are worth it, but a lot of people out there do. I would say that the American Express Personal Gold, this can be a great fit. Also because a lot of people actually do dine at a lot of these places, or they do get coffee. It's just maybe not at Dunkin', so you just have to get Dunkin' coffee. So things like that. So the annual fee is a wash if you use these credits, and the personal gold can be worth it in that regard. Now if we move on to the business gold, we'll see here that very similar. Okay, so 4x earn structure on your top two eligible categories for business expenses. I'm gonna scroll down and show you guys exactly what those are. We'll see here that with the 4x, there are a few different things listed here. So media providers for advertising, so running ad spend. You can put that through your business gold, and if you do a lot of that, then you're gonna get a good benefit out of this for the 4X. You also get the same for restaurants. That includes takeout and delivery. Also purchases at electronic goods retailers. So things like Best Buy, if you have expenses for kind of IT, right? So if you have some sort of CRM or SaaS provider, those things are going to be covered with the 4X category. Now this next one's pretty big for those of you that drive a lot for work or for your business expenses, that being the US purchases at gas stations at 4X. So if this is one of your top 2 categories, I would say this can be kind of a game changer in terms of the fact that the regular gold does not offer 4X on gas stations. And for myself, my best gas card is probably the USA Cash Rewards or the Costco credit card, which also gets 5X at Costco gas, which is pretty awesome. But if you keep in mind, that's only cash back. 4X on AMEX points is really good because points are, again, worth a lot more than just pennies. And so if you can then use those points to book a flight, whatever, great value. The last 2 here, that being transit purchases and then your monthly wireless telephone service charges. I currently have my phone bill for business expenses hooked up to this, to the business gold, just so I have a recurring expense, and that's always gonna be 4X for me. But again, it's your top 2. If we scroll down, everything else is 1X, and we'll see we also have this $240 flexible business credit. Well, it actually shows here at the top too. This flexible business credit is going to be basically your only credit besides this Walmart Plus thing, which honestly I don't think a lot of people out there are going to use. But this flexible business credit I think can be good because Grubhub, if you are ordering to the office, like your business office or whatever, that is $20 per month, which I think is fairly easy to use because you can actually purchase something with $20 instead of like the $10 Uber credit, which may be harder to use. It would be really great if this was $240 of flexible business credit that included Uber Eats, because then you could just stack that with the regular gold if you had it, but they're too smart to let people do that. But that being said, $240 in flexible business credit, I think that can make a lot of sense. If you use any of these things, whether it's FedEx, Grubhub, and an office supply store like Staples and stuff like that. Now, to me, this $155 of Walmart Plus credit, basically you're getting a yearly membership for free with Walmart Plus. I personally don't use that because I shop on Amazon if I have to buy stuff like that's Walmart adjacent, or I go to Target because I prefer going to Target over Walmart. To me, the combo is like Target and Home Depot. Like Walmart has kind of everything, but it's gonna be a little bit lower quality in my opinion. So my perspective, Walmart Plus, not particularly worth it. That being said, if you use it for your business, then great. Because if you do the math here, the annual fee math for the business gold, your annual fee is essentially 0. It's a wash again, because the total of $240 and $155 for these credits, if you use absolutely everything, is $395 exactly. Now realistically, I think for a lot of you guys out there, including myself, the Walmart Plus credit does not count for me because I'm not going to use it. And so my annual fee is effectively just over $150 for the business gold to keep it. So from a purely annual fee math perspective, I would say the personal gold definitely wins in this regard once again. But I will say that it can definitely be valuable keeping your business expenses independent from your personal life expenses like food and groceries. So generally speaking, I would say that for most people, for the majority of use cases out there, if you don't have one of the cards already, I would probably start with the personal gold, because it is a good combo with the AMEX Platinum if you already have that, or even if you don't have that, the AMEX Gold is a good place to start, especially if you are going to use a lot of those credits. It makes sense from an annual fee math perspective. Now, if you already have the regular gold, or the personal gold rather, and you want to get the business gold, I think there's definitely a case to stack them together, because again, the 4X categories do not overlap, at least in my opinion, for the two, because if you have business expenses, even if it's, aside from restaurants and takeout, you're definitely going to be cashing out on points that you can get for things like gas, other recurring IT or contractor expenses that you otherwise would only be getting maybe 1% back on a different credit card for. I should probably mention that the Amex points that you accrue on your business gold and your regular gold get accumulated together in your Amex account. So it's not like you have a separate account for your business Amex points versus your regular personal Amex points. So again, in that regard, it's definitely a great thing having both at the same time. I think the last thing I should probably mention is that a lot of you out there are probably looking at a pretty big sign-up bonus for, let's say, the business gold. And I would say that if there is a good sign-up bonus, that definitely dictates oftentimes whether or not you want to get one card over the other. But personally, I don't think you go wrong with having either card. I think it just depends on the type of spending that you have and the amount of business spending that you're going to be doing. Ultimately, if you have a ton of business expenses and not so much on the personal end, it can definitely make more sense to just have the business gold and use other cards for those other expenses. So that's pretty much it for this one. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the comment section below, and I will see you guys in the next one.